Hello?
Good. Hi, good. This is JL.
Yeah, JL. I guess we're just start as soon as everybody's logged in.
I got a message that we can start now. Okay.
Okay,
Five,
great.
2, 1. Let's start. Good JL Diaz, and I'm from Phoenix Business. For joining us in this unleashing the power of Phoenix Business Consulting has been in business. We started off with and then towards the and after the public sector space, what it meant is that perspective, our experience in some new ways and to be creative and how to deliver. And so that's what quality delivery with price point now. And we have the opportunity on ERP. We develop our practice by design, which we will do today. Our speaker, Teresa Black, for over, I would say, and has been watched by design since its inception. For a decade of experience in accounting and audit. And so we welcome Teresa Blackwell.
Thank you, JL. It's great to be here with you this morning. SAP Business ByDesign, the cloud. A little bit about the product. It's been out in the commercial market, and it's got about 5,000. It is a full cloud suite. It's entirely offered as a solution. About this morning, we're going to talk about some of the nav looks like, how your data. Some of the self-enabled after implementation and during implementation, the mobility features, and wrap up. Okay. The system is a suite and a little lot of functionality in the procurement, integrated with and supply chain. Of course, a full ledger, accounts payable, on fixed assets are all in there. Marketing, and then human resources as well. Is tightly integrated with mobility workflow globally. And what globally means is that figured for a lot that your tax setup and your in most of the countries in localized yet for the most part we can set your software in any country of a couple of hours. So very, very easy. With that quick overview, a little bit of the product and see what it looks like. You're going to go in, you're going to log in through a browser. Internet Explorer, use the software with all of those browsers. It works with Safari and a couple of others browser, and it works on any browser enabled. Go to your tenants, the secure password. It does support single. If you've got it in, you can manage that as well. And that takes you immediately in the launch pad to whatever task they have due for items, to alerts, tasks, and notifications. First thing in the morning, see what's going on with their day, and they can get right to those tasks. You just click on the tile, display. So he has two. One is a task that has been sent to right here. This is a check and sign off on it for his overseas trip. The approval, he just clicks on the tab, approve, reject, or he can go look at the expense report. Go over to the expense reporting module. This link will take him to him. Sir, this one has come from his. She wants him to take a look at no details about that invoice whatsoever. In order to find it, all he has, and it's going to take him that Iris wants him to look at. It's going to take, because she sent the task to him, he can go right into it and he can edit and look at all of the details. So to share information from your launch pad, you can either to you by the system or your coworkers. To others, you can just go right to ask. These are tapped to someone else. Okay, here he can see Evans, status of that has Larry. So communication within the system from the pad, you have the service and support that as well. From here, ByDesign is under actives that developers are putting it 4 times a year. And if you have a future release, you can submit an idea. Other users will vote that may make it into development, and ideas that have been submitted via this software over the past 10 years. You can consult a community out there made up of SAP consultants and other community, and they'll ask a question, how do you score? And we'll respond to help new users and existing better. Center, You click into the one about ByDesign library, which can also do that in a moment. What's new next release? You'll be able to see new coming up in the very next release via this training out there to learn about specific functionality, which we talked about, your ByDesign tips. Okay, you'll also see that you have access to the SAP. So if you have an issue, you can in as little as 24 hours, 2 hours, if it's a very urgent. So very easy to get assistance even from your Launchpad. In addition, working on this product, there are many open partners can go in and for the software, and then the particular problem that you need to solve that's already created an application. This is a very commonly used one. Customers deliver via EDI. So EDI integration. So if you have come in here and probably find a solution. So that's your launch. In addition, you have all of your work centers, and we talked about that's in ByDesign to everything. This does not typically have 6 to 8 work center. He's got access to everything. All of the work centers and all of the functionality. Have marketing and new business for CRM, inventory management. We can do customer invoicing. All the way down there, we can do field service and product that you've sold to a customer. Sourcing and contract, purchase contracts, and then purchase. And so it has an overview. Center, you can set up a personal dashboard. If we look at the one for the home screen, this is a dashboard. Our user Eddie reports on here that he wants to see. Have a different dashboard, as I said, for every. But if he comes in here in the sales order volume report, then it's right here. But he may. Okay, I'm not sure what's. Okay, so let's report by simply clicking into the detail of the report. It's in a different format. Try it's doing that. Chart to a different kind of chart. And a pie chart, he can change what it's doing there. Okay, cool. More information in. I'm not sure what's going on here up screen. To put in additional information here. So if he wants sales orders by month, who he's selling to, he can add with just a click. He's information into his report. Now he's buying. If he wants to see this report every day, and name it. And now this report is available to him. Okay. Okay, so that's and the software. And as I said, you can have a different work center. You can have your sales orders, a different overview for your general, modified by the user. Okay, so I'm going to go to my next slide. And I want to talk about security. So one of the when talking to people about moving into the cloud from an on-prem solution, their hardware and their data. You know, how is my data going to be, and where is my data? So for this product, achieved and maintained ISO certifications. One, which is your quality standard certificate 7001 sets, and then continuity. And the one that SAP enabled was the BS, is your GDPR. Personally, if you're doing business with anybody and to have GDPR certification, probably be extended to the US the next 1 to 3 years. That sort of the software. Maintaining this obviously be very expensive for an independent. He does that as part of the subscription for them. To answer the question about where video I'd like to show you, available on YouTube. It's called, and it's a 3-minute tour of the SAP. A quick look at this, and you'll get an idea. So that's a quick, that explains it way better than I could by simply, telling back into the software. And let's, so we looked at
guys, we will send a link to the directly in YouTube account for that.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So let's look at a few more features that are in the software. Enablement. You've implemented and you want to be system, and we actually have had the software on their own. It can, implementation partner, but it is possible, and the learning guides within the system to do. We have several layers. The first one, go here to my home screen, center, and I videos that I can watch to quality in ByDesign. Getting started, I have an overview of the learning, usually about 5 or 10 minutes in all, but you can go in here and there's how the system is set up, migration. You also have, open this up, you can see minutes of learning for your warehouse manager to do the tasks that they need to do. What the administrator should do, what the accountant should do. So very acclimated use of these videos. Menu. In this help menu, click on it. You'll notice the library, and there's a whole lot of other functions to be on a particular screen. To sales orders, order screen, and you have, that out. It's going to the information on. So if I'm on my sales order screen, this over here, the very first going to be about your sales orders for whatever else you might be looking for. Library resources, which are these company specific help. So if there's or information that you want to put here, and it can be accessed by any user. You can get right into the community, or you can get into the ideas section about your particular item. An issue. If you get an error problem or report an incident with the SAP Service Center through the in here, that will screen that you're on. So if you get an error and get some help. Service level agreement back 24 hours. A problem that's slowing you down within as little as 2 hours. Incidents. Okay. That management looks like. If with an error message, you can just go and search for a solution. You can enter your documents that will show up. You may be able to, if you can't, you can click through and add any attachments you need to make right back to SAP. So we have stuff in the help menu. We also learn how to do a particular guide, and you'll see that there are just hundreds of these to do basically any function in, any topic that you. If you want to add software, say that you've set it up using it for 3 or 4 months, and you say projects, we haven't been using it. Go in here and you can look for on configuring new portions of the solution. So a quick guide. Configuration guide to tell you that you don't really need to set things up in the software. It is easy to manage and very easy to. Okay, the next thing I want to tell you a couple of processes of the software looks like of this user, Eddie. So we're going to log out. And we're going to log into a user that only okay. Screen is going to look a little bit different. He has our super user does. Work centers are around the purchasing. So if we go into his home screen, to put in a purchase requisition. So he says, and that's going to take him to a lot of things that he can do from this menu. He can do expense report. He can access the says is the basic criteria to learn. There is no prior SAP knowledge. A lot of folks that may have used P system in the past will be and all of that sort of thing. None of that are friendly. And I will tell you that I've been using the software and as an implementer, any programming knowledge beyond very limited programming knowledge, but I stand and set up this from the self-services menu. Thank you. Thanks for the questions, y'all. If you have it, please put them in the chat box and we'll. So if you see this here, but one of the things which is purchase requisition. Again, it's going to take them to a guided or common throughout the system that's going to occur in steps. You're going to get steps for it. So our first, and you'll see here that we have some catalog, internal and external catalog. I've got one set up here for cleaning supply, internal to the system, and that's where from. You can see that I can put image, a description. And if you click on the number that they want, it starts to populate. So we'll order some, and we'll order some, order a couple of those. Purchase request, which you can see here that I have Windex. It's got a proposal. We have a price list for this item. This can be changed in purchasing if it changes. But for our requisition, we'll add manual items in here. Our person needed some, maybe they need paper clips. Here. They can say, I need, I'm just going to let purchasing find out whatever, no price. Department, and then I go next. Someone, approval details are going to show. I can assign it to my cost center and department. Okay, and it's whatever department I belong to, project. I can make that change here. This is a project, and right here. Okay, is going to follow the to supplier invoice it and changes it. I can save it and leave it in there and finish it, and it's going to and purchase orders. Next, it's going to leave here, purchase request and orders. It will. Now, you'll notice that Lysol is not here in the reading contract. For my Lysol, automatically created a purchase order for them. There's something missing. Link, we'll find out what that is. And it'll tell us what we're missing. Okay, it's missing product categories. So easy. And now it's fine. And purchase order. That's what it's telling us right now. We can assign our source of supply from the same supplier. So all the information that you need, phone calls, you don't have to know who, you don't have, we're going to say we found these for $2 a box. Order. And all of these steps, just like they were for my we're going to order. So when it's time to receive the purchase orders out there, this purchase directly to your vendor. Address for your vendor in your box, attach it to an email, and it's going to send that out to printed. Okay, and you can mail. But once they've fulfilled that back to you, could be received by the user by going into their self-services over their shopping carts right here, status of their shopping cart. And if they want to confirm that they're here, okay, and that it can also be from the purchase orders from there. New goods and services receipt, the receipt. So it's fine, and we post it. You can also receive, now that the buying here, but it is possible to receive goods, and that requires with an inbound activity, and I'll show you in a minute. But you can receive goods either applies, here they are, inventory. So it's got full inbounding, outbound. When you process these, see that everything is tightly integrated. You've just done a purchase requisition, and we received our goods on that. As these activities are, all of these documents are going to be to a particular purchase order. And if we go into the question, we'll address your question here in just a moment. Every document that's linked to this from here, and this can be pulled into reporting as well. Order, we acknowledge inventory, we received, and then we paid it. Okay, and if you'd have another one over here that says into bank phone call that we get from our vendors, right? You can click right into here and such, and by the way, you cashed it. Very easy to get into that information. Cabinet to chase down all that information. It's right view. As you're working through, you'll see that each document, the purchase requisition feeds the purchase or the supplier invoice. All of those are log out of our user, super user, because we want to see which is supplier invoices is created. So we have a question. Do they go through the contracts or stand that question at the very end? Okay. Some of our activity around we've done a purchase order. Now we're waiting on that invoice to come in the mail. I'm going to go find my supplier invoice. And that's going to be presented to invoice entry. Everything that's not been invoiced, several that are out here that have those, because I'm certainly not going to pay them until we have Miller and Son, and Miller and Son has just posted that. As I click on the line, I don't have to re-enter any of the information to identify the payment. It's all right here. As I enter my supplier doc, our invoice number, and the invoice date, my aging of my invoice, and I post it. So this becomes, you're managing a lot of manual documentation. This will save you a lot of time. Process that invoice. It's going to enter any additional information. It's just my supplier account, and I can process them from here. Their account, I can process with pay manually or whatever, automatically through an automated run, and setting up a payment run. My invoices that are date. Okay. Easy to manage. All the approvals are document, and all documents can be viewed. Okay, so let's bounce and let's talk about a couple of other features. Okay, all right, let me get to the next slide. The mobility in ByDesign that we've been looking at throughout the HTML5 enable means is that you can use this product device. That might be a laptop. It can also be a smartphone. Program this because a lot of times when you're starting a company, you don't have a lot of 10 scanners, and you don't have terminals out in your warehouse or your smartphone out into your activities like receiving goods on that remote device. The user interface that we were very well on a laptop, but for a smartphone, because obviously that gap, there are several mobile smartphones that permit you to do on your smartphone. Some manager approvals that where our user went in and did, those can be done on your smartphone. There's an application that will let them. There's a little project app that gives you your projects with projects to go, service orders on your smartphone, and all of these applications they're on the Samsung. Something that's been developed in the software, we can now do purchase requisitioned on the smartphone. And this mobile route, this is what it looks like right here. This is a route fulfillment. It integrates with Google Maps and says, this is how you should manage, and this is the location of the app too. So these are all few new apps. Every building applications as well, applications for the software. So there's an access from your phone. Reporting and KPIs. So on your PC, on your laptop, or format those reports on your phone. So that it's not too small to see. Whoops. Let's go back to. Okay, now before we get into some of the cost drivers, functionality in the system of that. Supplier invoicing, all of those flows in here. So if you wanted to look at customer, very similar to what your supplier invoicing, that activity is going to be presented at the invoice requests. Sales order. You've shipped a month, or maybe at the end of the week, you're going to your customer. This is something that as well, because obviously so there's actually an automated run for this based on the invoice request type and so on. And you can see in request types that need to be sent out. Those are invoices that have been milestone. So like if you have a project, whenever you get to a certain point in the project and you say milestone, you confirm that's an invoice request for you. Requests. So if every month, someone $1,500 to go out every month right here, whatever the date happens. And then we have our outbound to someone. It's going to, we ship them, and all we have to do to complete this. And then we can either go ahead and release it, and it's going to our customer based on what one is actually going out, change it to email, or I can put an email address in there and out. It will also say every time you send it out, customer 3 times, and it will save the invoice to this email address 3 times to help with your collections. Customer invoicing is tightly integrated with payables, customer invoices. It's functionality for inventory overview. It's very so here's all where it's located, what it is. Click down into your various products, information about that. All from to customer invoicing, inventory functions. We've also your fixed assets now, and it's going to bring that whole process. It's going to automate it very commonly. A system, but it doesn't have fixed asset and manually do depreciation with this software. You're click. You go on, you pull up your depreciation, do a fixed asset depreciation run, do a test run before I actually post. Put your period. And if there's any design about 10 years ago, I went 3 hours every month when it was reduced to 5 minutes. And so it's going to and it's going to kid. So if I click in here, and it'll show me every item that was how much. Here's all the items that were depreciated, and there's my postings. General ledger accounts that in addition to depreciation, there are a number. There's overhead allocation, there's inventory revaluation in your inventory, maybe apply a new cost to it with similar documentation. Easy to use, a lot of automation around all of these activities, what reports that you can actually see that immediately in your reporting. So I can go look at a evaluation of my fixed assets. That is going to be real time. Run posts. It's going to be. Okay, so let's talk then the cost. Okay, I'm trying to get my slide up here. I'll just bring it over like. So when we talk about the cost ERP on-site implementation cost, we're looking at our software and the folks that are actually going to do right here have been the biggest cost drivers. And you have to hire somebody to actually, with ByDesign, these two, your hardware certainly is now going to be hosted. It's not going to be a cost that you will have to bear if you're fortunate enough to have in your organization, but as much anymore. They'll be able to do other things for maybe some specific problems that you have. For the software is going to be managed by with the software. 2 of those are additional web services, additional functionality in the software with those. The other 2 are more like maintenance releases, and they come out 4 times a year. Child development. So all of the software, the company that I implemented 8 is on the very same version that we may have implemented last year. Frequently, they get some new functionality. Hey, this works. But it's a very painless. It generally occurs over a week, and you know that you've got new stuff. Robust partner network out there working on the product. There are a number of verticals, biosciences vertical in ByDesign, manufacturing in ByDesign. There's just a whole lot of partners working in specific areas. Then, in addition to being ByDesign, can also where that can integrate via webs, are obviously in the SAP, the analytics tool. We have folks that want to integrate e-commerce store with just plug in. I can show you that here in just a moment in the software. It's a significant savings over as much as 90% functioned on-premise. So your software implement parts, and that's going to be the cost of the implementation, which is with your SAP cost right now at $48 per month. Standard enterprise user licenses in the system. Okay, that's going to give you access. Manufacturing process, all your work centers for financial, standard enterprise user license. If you want to add additional on a per license basis, enterprise users, obviously they licenses. This is your standard CRM sales team member, gives you access, all of your upfront sales. And then your project management, if you have some project management self-service users for SCM, and then your self-serve for your normal user, purchase requisitions. But it's very easy to configure, get it set up and running, and then to add rows or as you add new locations. The second part, software enablement or implementation, is going to be, that's going to depend on what, how complex those modules and how long it takes you to implement. A small scope, financials, meaning you're doing business in just a single one, you can expect to pay about a week implementation with 5 users. Smallest, as you add functionality to that, if projects, price will go up. Implementation is not going to be probably, even if you have something like e-commerce or something, is enabled for, and what localization means is that you have available all the tax reporting that you need for a particular, many clients manufacturing in another company, and then they'll localize, and you can have both of those entities buy additional licenses to set up a new company, a new country, a new in hours. It doesn't take much at all. It's very user friendly to get started. So let's go back in now. If anyone has questions about some of the things that show some additional specific or functionality in the system. Hello? Okay, so we have a question. Does it support functionality? You can integrate, that's a customization. Be added to a future version, requested in the ideas forum as to when that's actually going to be added, 12 to 18 months. We'll see a vendor in the system. And then how easy it to have with third-party products. So for products, let's take a quick look at the design. Let's go here and now there are like the EDI one that I showed you on SAP Store. I'm going to application and user management. This is where your integrated links are stored. And here, delivered web services, and some of these integrate like SuccessFactors. There's a standard integrator. There's a standard integration for something that is not one of these web services right here. What you want. See, so here's the orders, querying sales orders. I have the address here about where you can just click right in here and get the integration. Okay, and I will integrations. We do integrations, sales order system, sending invoices in and to set up. Other question, did that answer? Let me bring this back over. Did that answer and how you integrate other software with the system? Another question, the LSO, what are the prerequisites to SAP Business ByDesign? Not sure about that question. Response to that?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
There is no migration. It is new in any other system.
And then there's complex calculation KPI person to actually do that, but I can show you where KPIs or system. You can go here to Business Analytics and you can design reports, or you can design data sources and all of your analytics of data sources in the system. Let's go into design reports. So here's all my reports that are in the new report. And use again a guided activity. What I do is I assign a data source. Right? So all of the formats are here, so you can just pick the one you want in the data source to design your report. Service delivery, put a description, and then you just create your report. Building a KPI, design a KPI. Here's all the ones, modify it, or I can create, and again, just a guided activity to do something that's very, or has a lot here. I'm sorry, that's keeper here. Or you can actually do the SAP Business, and you do that through your OData to application and user management. You can create and send that out to the analytics tool. Calculations there, you can bring in various what's in your ERP system. You can create some pretty detailed reports that you can then set. Analytics tool can link SAP Business ByDesign system. And user management, instead of create analytics tool, you create an out to the analytics tool, and you can do some And then V that says is real management for third-party offering. I can tell you there is a lot of warehouse management function. There is a partner vertical that has no warehouse management functionality. So let's go to supply. So if we go into, I can set up my warehouses. I can warehouses, stock, restricted stock. If you want something like a warehouse where it's actually going in with the system, hey, we've got this inventory and here's the tag that's there. That requires some additional functionality of that out, and it is available in the store. So yes, it does have warehouse. It can do third party, but you have to be able third party in here, third party warehouse, and then you can order fulfillment. So yeah, there has been some additional fun. Well, now as to real is that something like or state management?
Yeah, it's more management of property.
So you can do contracts in the system, schedule things like payments and things like that. Suite, enterprise asset management. If I have real estate and I do repairs on the assets and depreciating it, I have to do contracts around it. There is a partner, a full-scale enterprise asset works really well. If you're in design, it comes in as a work center. It looks so you could manage with that add-on properties. Any additional questions? Okay, let's see. Internal catalogs, and I don't think we add internal catalogs. Are they through of the question? But I will tell you that internal. So if you've gone out and you've supply, 5 or 10 product internal catalog orders against that, it's going to decrement that catalog contract. Alrighty, we can jump back into our. Oh, one more question on catalogs. Would you please explain SRM and Ariba? I'm familiar with the Ariba software way. I will tell you how they work in ByDesign or upload from a vendor. Just go in and it's a configuration and catalog, and then it just the vendor's catalog. The one that we've had linked that I've done has been something like Office Depot logs or the items that that they have available. Your folks can buy. Have a purchasing contract tied to that thing, and then you're from the purchase requisition. They're going to look very, very similar to that one. What you're looking for there? Do you question?
Hi, Teresa. This is Venkat on catalogs. When in the shopping cart, we'll go to the website and we'll pick up the products from there or the punch out catalog. Actually, just I would like to functionality. Is it available to be right?
I mean, we can link to, but it's just I mean, it will link to their catalog. I don't know if it takes you you're to their website and you're ordering.
We made, that means there will be cost structure in catalog, OCI, wherein we literally go to pick up from his catalog and buyer's screen. Yeah, no problem. Just I ask about that.
It's just a link to the catalog. I'm trying to remember what it looked like when we set up the website. It's just a link.
Standalone. Maybe somebody has to internal catalog, and that's how.
Yeah, it's to be loaded, but it can load it. It can communicate. So I don't know what goes on. Get you an answer for it.
Sure. This is, for example, now, and having similar kind of and from the session, which is a cloud product before SAP HANA, for the different technologies, is going to be different. Which markets give for this? Yeah.
To be continued to develop S/4HANA Cloud.
Yeah.
Obviously, this product's been around. Product has never been intended more than for the mid. We do have some customers as maybe 10 or 20 million use. The primary business by design should SAP recommend is for HANA be a process. If you have a detailed process, because you don't do development on ByD, turn it on or you turn it off. Process that you need to S/4HANA is a better product for you. Obviously, is going to be an issue. Dollar or less customer, and you have a process. You don't have a lot of custom is a product you're probably going to want to use. Transaction load will be enough. Got a fairly low transaction load, 1,000 or less transactions in a particular. You can use ByDesign that, and you're doing a million. SAP is going to recommend S4. So complexity, number of transactions, those are all things.
Yeah, that's great. And what would be the implementation team's say finance, SCM, and logistics?
The limitation for someone that's doing
what maybe 5, 6 people functional? How it is? Average implementation team size for an organization and finance.
Well, if a complexity, and I'll tell you, organization that's delivering and they're selling them for 69 cents the high transaction load. So they're selling 500 or 500,000 for $1 million a piece. That's not a very complex transaction load. It has, but that might be somebody business by design for, because they have, right? So those are all into consideration when you're looking at when. I will tell you that since it continues to move up market, it's more robust than people thought it was going to. Transaction loads and high, initially anticipated. Some clients they were shipping about 70,000 over e-commerce, and they were able to handle design.
Will be around 5 to for like in whatever scenario which you have.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The implementation team size, before comprising of the functional consultants and technical team size, I'm talking about implementation.
So for
implementation team size.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so depending on the complexity, manager, and we're going to have a functional expert for each. So if you're doing a financial expert, you'll want want somebody that understands the supply chain process into that. You'll want to ask expertise. And now sometimes you'll get can do multiple areas. Financials, I can do all 3 of those, right? But if all implementation, I probably would handle single implementation. But much larger that maybe has 5 or 6, you might want to add an additional try to have one person do all of that. It just kind of depends on what your implementation team is, so that you can complete your implementation.
The customizations are limited, it seems, right? Use. In case of Ariba, the customization is around, I think, 5.
If they're using an additional Ariba,
what I mean to say is the customization, it is going to be 90% is going to be standard. We can customize to an extent of 1 location, if I'm correct. It is otherwise
so the question is
to what extent? Otherwise, is there more scope for?
So if you're comparing it to customization, is going to be much due in those systems. Customizations, and I think customizations to the product kit. You can customize most of the work centers with that kit. Standard customer, I'm going to order my tenant and I'm ready to go. You're going to need to order a kit, and that's going to permit you to the product. But if you're to Ariba, it's a fraction really intended. I mean, it's not really intentions that want to do that kind of development. You plug in, you use it, you don't have development talent on board, right?
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. My presentation, just a quick wrap up. It's got all of the stuff included. It's got all the functionality for, and certainly not as customizable. And if you're someone like me who doesn't want to do all of your upgrades, that's all included. Cost, it's all part of the license. As I said, easy to use, sweet in a box. That's the end of my presentation. Has any additional questions, you can type them in. And thank you guys for attending.